We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
How you can imagine.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another Toys from the Past. So on today's Toys from the Past, we will be talking about Buck Rodgers toy lines. Now, in case you are one of those people that really don't know anything about Buck Rodgers, let's give a little bit of back history on it. So Buck Rodgers was created by Philip Francis Nolan, and his first appearance as Anthony Rodgers was in the short story Armageddon 2419 AD, which was published in the August 1928 issue of Amazing Stories. The president of National Newspaper Services Syndicate, John Flint Dill, had read and enjoyed the original story, and he eventually approached Nolan to do a science fiction comic strip based on his original ideas. This would actually wind up becoming the first such strip in the world. Now, Richard Calkins was commissioned to do the art, and it debuted on January 7th of 1929 as Buck Rodgers 2429 AD. 3 years later, Buck also made the jump to radio in a 4-time weekly broadcast starting on November 7th of 1932. And with the rise of popularity of the Buck Rodgers franchise, it was only a matter of time until a movie was made, and this was done by RKO. Some changes, of course, were made, and eventually the story was picked up and changed once again in 1979 with a TV series starring Gil Garrod playing the role of Buck Rodgers. So now, with that little bit of backstory out of the way, we can actually get down to the toys that were created for the Buck Rodgers franchise. In 1934, Daisy had produced Buck Rodgers metal toy ray guns, the XZ-31 rocket pistol. And the next year, Daisy introduced another huge success for them with the XZ-38 disintegrator pistol, a ray gun with a new Art Deco design. Soon after the disintegrator pistols hit the market, Daisy unleashed water shooting power on the world with the Buck Rodgers liquid helium water pistol XZ-44 in 1935. However, when World War II came along, manufacturers did not use metals for toy production, and Daisy followed suit by producing 37mm artillery ammunition for the war effort and creating wooden pop guns for the home front. Now, after the war, Daisy banked on the public's fascination with atomic energy, and they reintroduced the XZ-38 as the U-235 atomic pistol. With its fluted barrel, flamboyant fins, and gold finish, along with sparks that light up inside the fission control chamber, this was a huge success. And in 1965, the action figure lines began to show up. And one of the companies who released these figures was Ideal in 1965 with one of their figure lines, the Captain Action figure line. Now, how it worked is you would buy a Captain Action figure, and then you would buy the Captain Action line, which basically consisted of outfits that were sold without a figure, so you could dress your Captain Action up as your favorite comic hero. These not only came with outfits and weapons, but they also came with a different head that you can swap out, so your Captain Action figure would actually look like the new character that you were trying to turn them into. But beyond that, there really were no other toys until 1979 when the TV series was released. Now, once the TV series was released, new figures wound up being made. And who were they made by? The same company that was going out there snatching up every sci-fi product and show TV that they could find, Mego. Just like they had done with Black Hole, they wound up creating 3 3/4 inch figures for the new Buck Rodgers TV show. Much like they had done for the Black Hole figures, they pretty much copied the same format that they had used on the Micronauts line, which they had acquired from Takara for sale in the US. Unfortunately, this line did not last long, much the way that the TV show didn't as well. However, they did make 9 incredibly well-detailed made figures for the 3 3/4 inch line. Buck Rodgers, Wilma Deering, Tweaky, Dr. Hauer, Ardella, Tiger Man, Killer Kane, Draconian Guard, and Draco. Along with the figures, they also made some vehicles including Buck Rodgers Starfighter, the Draconian Marauder Starfighter, the Laser Scope Fighter, which is the exact same model of toy that was label swapped for the Black Hole. And the last toy that Mego produced for the 3 3/4 line as far as the vehicles was the Land Rover and was released in early 1980 in limited numbers. Beyond the vehicles, they made the Starfighter Command Center, a fairly large playset for the Buck Rodgers 3 3/4 inch line, and one other playset that they tried to market. Now, it is not clear whether this never made it to market and failed upon its initial concept, or if it was soft marketed and it failed to garner any attention. Either way, the Draconian Fortress, which was supposed to include a Tiger Man glove, man-eating plant, and a trap door, was essentially a repackage of the Star Trek Mission to Gamma 4, another one of the many label swaps that they've always done and I have talked about many times before. Another vehicle is the Buck Rodgers Star Searcher, which really has nothing to do with the TV show at all. This is just another example of label swapping. It was actually a Micronaut Star Defender vehicle repackaged under the Buck Rodgers brand. And of course, as Mego is always known for their much larger figures, their 12-inch action figure line, World's Greatest Superheroes, they actually did include a 12-inch line of Buck Rodgers figures. Now, these figures, of course, like always, had great likeness to the TV characters, except there's one problem with these ones. They seem to what they call zombify, meaning that the faces on them turn gray over time. Included in the 12-inch line was Buck Rodgers, Dr. Hauer, a walking wind-up Tweaky, a Draconian Guard, Tiger Man, Killer Kane, and Draco. And like so many other franchises of the past, including things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, you name it, every single one of them has had multiple companies that have actually made product for their line. Now, Buck Rodgers was no different, because an official utility belt by Remco, of all toy companies, in 1979 was created. It had a small little plastic gun, a compass, a belt, and decoder glasses. And another company that produced some Buck Rodgers merchandise was Corgi. Now, Corgi jumped on the Buck Rodgers craze and received the rights to a number of Buck Rodgers toys. The most popular of these were their die-cast Starfighters. The first was the larger of the two and actually came with a small Buck Rodger and Tweaky figure, and the Starfighter Jr. was basically the same size as a Matchbox car and was just a small die-cast fighter. And in 1979, we are talking about walkie-talkie craze. This was a big time when everybody was making walkie-talkies. From Star Trek to Batman, you name it, everybody had a version of a walkie-talkie so they could have extra product on the shelves, and Buck Rodgers was no different. Now, if you were a fan of this show, one of the things that many people who were found kind of strange is the fact that Mego never made a version of Hawk as a figure. Now, Hawk was a very unique figure in the Buck Rodgers line, and some might say that a lot of his features much resemble Hawkman from the DC line. However, he is much different and really is nowhere near like him. His features, of course, were very bird-like, and he had a strange multicolored fuzzy type of head. The reason that he was never included in the line is because Hawk first appeared in the series in late 1980. This coincided with the same time that Mego was beginning to close up shop and sell off its operations. This was due to the fact of legal litigation that Mego was undergoing, which eventually led to the demise of the company. So as far as the 3 3/4 action figures go, I actually did have a few of these. I had Buck Rodgers, I had Tweaky, I had a Draconian Guard, and I had Tiger Man. Beyond that, I am not sure if I had any of those other figures. I also did have the smaller Corgi die-cast Starfighter. I believe that all these may be lost over in the calamitous mess that my father calls his home. Anyway, guys, that is all I have on this one. Have you ever heard of these toys? Did you have any of these toys? Did you know about these toys? Do you even care about them? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, as always, if you like what you heard and you like what you've seen, go ahead and destroy that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I am glad that you are here, and I hope that you have enjoyed yourself, and I hope that you will check out some of my other content. And if you like what you've seen and you like what you've heard, that you will consider subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't do, because your silence gives consent. Anyway, guys, I will catch you all next time. Later, y'all.